I've had 4 or 5 or so jobs at this point as well, and feel I was probably not as orchestrated as Brian was and not as smart about making choices, because I was very opportunistic and kind of adventurous in my career process, particularly before I got an MBA. And I was really nervous. I always thought, I'm not qualified to apply for business school. I'm not going to be a good candidate. There are people out there that have been investment bankers for like 6 years and they can do like, you know, models. I don't know how to do models, right? So I didn't think that I was at all qualified. And lo and behold, what I realized as I was doing these applications, whether or not you guys are thinking about business school is a different story, but you know, any job you're applying to, if you feel kind of underqualified, what I was able to do was look back across these experiences. So I had been an IT consultant, I had been you know, a grassroots development worker in Africa, and I had worked in client service for an investment management company. Holy cow, like what the heck is the story there? But there was stuff I could draw from each of those experiences, really important learnings. And most importantly, I think, was that I grew as a person, in addition to growing as a professional. But my experiences, I felt, built my character. And that, at the end of the day, was one of the most important thing for me personally, but also, I think, really benefits you in a job search process. People are looking to hire people that can do lots of different things. To Brian's point, you're not going to be hired to sit behind a desk and do one thing over and over and over again until the end of time. You are always going to have to adapt, and you're always going to have to bring in new skills. And so, as he says, don't at all worry about what this worry about what the job is and try to find something that you're excited about, but don't think of it as the end-all be-all, because you will take skills and you'll apply them to the next thing, and it could be as crazy as, who knows, like moving to Africa.
I think it's helpful to think about your story and like every move you make in the context of the bigger story. So, you know, let's just say worst case scenario, you graduate and there's just nothing, you know, at all for you. Or maybe you just haven't made up your mind. If you wanted to take a summer off and go teach English someplace or do something, think about, okay, you know, if I'm going to do this, you know, is there going to be what am I going to take away from it? You know, if you're interested in international business and you spend 6 months teaching, you know, English in China and learning Mandarin, that's a pretty compelling story. Even though, you know, it's not necessarily a mainstream career decision up front, it could still be a part of that, you know, broader story, and it makes you, you know, it differentiates you down the road should you decide you want to, you know, do some more, you know, international business or you know, pursue a different route. So constantly think about, you know, if you're going to make a move, think, you know, take a job, you know, do the best you can at it, and then, you know, start thinking ahead of time what your next step might be, and then think about, you know, how are you going to position yourself within the firm to get the most experience to prepare yourself for that next step, and constantly think, you know, each job is just another chapter in that story, and the way, you know, you tell that story, I think will resonate if you made some good decisions along the way.
I definitely agree with what you guys are saying, but something I'm thinking about is within the interview process itself. How much are you supposed to let on that whatever you're going to do for an internship or for a job is really like part of other things that you might want to be doing? Like, obviously you don't exactly know what the job entails and whether you enjoy it, but how much do you actually let on in the interview process that you're still thinking, you're exploring the field that you're getting into?
Yeah, that's a great question. Is that right? So just as one side point, when you said, when I'm in the interview, I don't know exactly what the job would entail. Going back to something Mike said earlier, I would strongly recommend, again, it's sort of as a tip for getting a job in a tough market, going back to the topic, know what that role is. And yes, you haven't done it, but be really clear. And the way you do that is reaching out to people that work in that company. Or prior, let's say you get an interview sort of just randomly, or you go through some process and you apply formally and you get this interview, and you haven't talked to anyone from the company. When you get the interview, I would actually ask, is there anyone that I might be able to speak to understand? I want to make sure that I'm well prepared. Is there anyone that I can speak to that could, you know, someone doing the role that I would be doing, kind of at your level, at an entry level, so that I can learn more about what this role is. And they will be delighted, I'm sure, to share a name because everyone wants a prepared interviewer. So I would just say, go into it being, you don't know all the ins and outs, but you should have a really good idea of what that role is. And then in the process, think of the interview as not just I'm sitting here trying to get a job, but it's also it's kind of a mutual interview. You're going to get more questions than you'll ask them, but you're trying each other on for size, right? You're trying to see, do I want to spend a lot more time with this person? And are they well suited to do this job? So think of it as your exploration of the role and making sure that it's a good fit for you. So you come in with some base knowledge, and then you're trying to build on that knowledge in the interview and make sure that that's clear to the interviewers so they recognize that you're prepared, and then also kind of sensing for fit. So to get kind of tactical about how much do you let on, clearly you're not going to go in and say, I have no idea whether or not I want this job, tell me about it. Or, I have no idea whether or not this is a career I actually want to do, I'm just trying to find a job, or something like that. Those are phrases that you would obviously not want to say, which I'm sure you all know. But you can say things like, here's why I think this is a really good fit for me and why I'm here today. I've read about this, I've done some, I've read about your company online, I've talked to some people that work here. It sounds like a tremendously exciting place for these reasons. I don't even know, I don't think you need to go beyond that. You can just tell them that it's an exciting place you're interested in learning more about.